I'm going to tell you a story about a man who failed 100 times, and every single time he failed, people laughed at him. They said he was stupid. They called him names, but he didn't care because he knew one day he would succeed. And this story is proof that perseverance beats talent. This story will inspire you to keep going no matter how many times you fail. In the beginning, there was a young boy who loved playing football. Every day after school, he would stay out in the streets and practice his football skills. All the other kids would play until sunset, but then they would all go home and he would continue practicing. While all the other kids were eating candy and playing video games, he was practicing penalty kicks. The boy just wanted to be the best football player in the world. Then one day, the boy grew up and became a man, but his dream never changed. He still wanted to be the best football player in the world. So he joined a local football club, and soon everyone saw that he was incredibly talented, but also that he was very, very stubborn. The coach would tell him, "You will never make it as a football player. You are too slow, you are too weak, and you can't even kick a ball properly." But the man didn't listen to the coach. He kept on kicking the ball over and over again. One day during training, the man kicked the ball towards the goal and scored. It was the most beautiful goal the coach had ever seen. The coach was so happy that finally the man had scored a goal that he took him aside and said, "Do you know what? You are not as bad as I thought you were. Maybe you have a chance to become a football player." The man was so happy to hear those words, but he had been practicing for years to get to this level. And now the coach wants to tell him that he has a chance to become a football player. The man was already 26 years old, and he had wasted most of his life doing something that he loved. But that didn't bring him any money. The coach continued, "You need to work harder than anyone else if you want to make it. Are you ready?" The man looked at the ball and remembered all the times he had kicked it and failed. He looked up at the coach and said, "I am ready." But deep down inside, the man was thinking, "I don't want to do this anymore. I am tired of all the pain and the hard work. I don't think it's worth it." So the next day, the man didn't show up for training. The coach called him and asked, "Why didn't you come to training today?" The man said, "I quit." The coach was disappointed, but he respected the man's decision. The man went back to his old life, but he still loved football. So every day he would watch football games on TV. One day while watching a game, he saw a commercial for a local football academy that was looking for new talent. He thought to himself, "Maybe it's my last chance to make it." So he went to the trials and everything went well. The coaches liked him and invited him to join the academy. But after 2 weeks, they called him into their office and said, "We appreciate your effort, but you are too old for our academy." The man couldn't believe what he was hearing. He felt like giving up. He was already 28 years old, and all he had was his football talent. What was he gonna do now? He went back home and looked at his trophies and medals and realized that he had nothing to show for all his years of hard work. But something inside of him kept telling him to keep going. So he started training again, harder than ever before. 2 years passed, and the man was now 30 years old. He tried everything to make it as a professional football player, but nothing worked. He didn't have the strength or the speed. One day, the man was sitting on a bench, watching kids play football. A little boy came up to him and said, "Mister, why don't you play with us?" The man looked at the boy and smiled and said, "I am too old to play with you guys." The boy didn't say anything and just kept staring at the man. The man felt uncomfortable and asked the boy, "What do you want?" The boy said, "You should never give up. You are not too old to chase your dreams." The man thought to himself, "How can this little boy be so wise? Maybe he's right. Maybe I am not too old." So he took off his jacket and joined the kids. They played until sunset, and the man had so much fun. From that day on, the man never gave up. He kept on trying and trying and trying. And guess what? One day he got a call from a football club, and they asked him to come to a trial. The man was so happy. He knew that all those years of hard work had finally paid off. At the trial, the man met many talented players, but none of them could match his experience and skills. The coaches were impressed and offered him a contract. The man had finally made it. Now, whenever the man meets someone new, he tells them the story of how he failed 100 times before he succeeded. And he always ends the story with these words, "You only lose in life when you stop trying."